Right now, we're going to talk with a leader of one of the states that's clamping down on TikTok. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan joins us. Earlier this week, Maryland banned executive branch use of what Hogan's office calls certain Chinese and Russian influence products and platforms, and that does include TikTok. And Governor, thanks for being here. I guess the question is, why now?
Well, you know, that our CISO recommended that we really have faced grave potential threats of cyber espionage, and the FBI director has been putting out these warnings. All of the federal agencies have been talking with all of the states about the threats, and yet the federal government has been refusing to take any actions at all. And we felt that in order to protect our systems, we needed to take these actions, and other states have made the same decision.
Yeah, we just heard from Kayla about the delays that that negotiations has run into. What kind of deal could you support? What would you like to see?
Well, I think they need to really make some decisions. You know, the federal government could take the same exact action that many of the states have taken, at least to protect the federal system. So we already know, it's a fact, that hackers associated with the Chinese government were able to break into federal and state systems during the COVID problem, where they were tapping into our unemployment systems, and hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud was taking place. And you know, this is one or two state employees that could potentially be just on TikTok on their state desktops or laptops. They could infiltrate sensitive information throughout the entire system.
There has been talk of a national ban. Consumers don't seem to take this very carefully, take it in stride. You see huge use, especially among younger Americans. Would you support a national ban?
Well, I know that they've been talking about this in Congress for quite some time. The executive branch has been taking their time with this investigation that's gone on for 3 years, and Congress is doing a lot of talking. I'm not sure what the final solution ought to be, but one thing I do know is that this shouldn't be a Republican or Democrat issue. Our cybersecurity is the most important problem we have right now. We have serious threats from both China and Russia, and we've got to make sure we make some progress.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that it's only been Republican governors that have taken these actions recently. It is something that the current FBI director has warned about very recently again. Why is this becoming a political issue?
I don't think it should be a political issue, but look, we're the cyber capital of America. We're home to the NSA, U.S. Cyber Command, NIST, and cyber centers of excellence. And we're having discussions and meetings with all of the federal agencies, and they're very concerned. It's just, I think they've been hesitant to actually take action, and some of the states decided that in order to protect our systems and the integrity of our information, that we had to take the actions. It's similar to what happened during COVID, when basically, we saw the federal government, putting out confusing, conflicting, or delayed information and decisions, and they left it up to the governors. We had to act.
Why are they reluctant? I don't understand it. If they seriously think that this is a threat, that is a cybersecurity threat, why won't they do anything?
Well, that's a great question that I wish I knew the answer to, but I know that our leaders of our cyber command here in Maryland, along with other states, we're in discussions with the federal leaders, which is why we took the action, because they're all very, very concerned. I can't tell you what's going on inside the Biden White House, but I think we need maybe less talk and more action.
All right, you're preventing it from any devices at the executive level, but what happens if somebody using one of your executive devices, maybe they go home, their kids have it, and they share a network with their kids? Does that still leave you vulnerable?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a great question for our experts to talk about. But right now, the matter really deals with the state system, state computers, and I think on their private devices, this is not impacting them, and I don't think they can break into or get sensitive information. But they certainly were concerned about all of our state devices.
Yeah.
Governor, you've made, just while we have you here, always good to see you, Governor, but...
yeah, good to see you.
Things swirl around about your intentions after January 18th, when you're no longer governor, and you've been outspoken about, Republicans are tired of losing three straight, I guess you could say three elections, whether if you want to consider the Senate, whatever it is. So it could be you, and you've left the door open. Maybe you announce. You've seen some of the conjecture about some other governors, one in particular, maybe DeSantis. You see some of the polls. There's also some concern that former President Trump's base is still pretty solid. So the more entrants that there are in the GOP field, the more likely that it splits it up, so that former President Trump could be more likely to maybe be the nominee in 2024. Does that factor into your thinking at all? And do you think that there's any chance he says, you know what, I'm just going to decide on who I think should lead the party, and I'm going to tell my base to go with them? Do you ever see that happening? Is that a possibility?
Well, I don't see much chance of that happening, but I can't really put myself into the mind of Donald Trump and how he will make his decisions. But, for me, I really am trying to finish out strong as governor of Maryland. I still got a few more weeks left on the day job, and I said sometime next year we would sit down, try to make a decision about how I could best serve in the future, or what role I can play about getting our party back on track, getting the country back on track. Yeah, but you're right, it's been the worst time for the Republican Party in history, and we lost the White House, we lost the Senate. We should have had a huge red wave this year, but due to our own mistakes, we barely got the House back. We didn't win the Senate. We didn't pick up some governor's races we should have, and I'm just tired of losing. And I think there are ways to, I've been successful in the bluest state in America, winning big majorities and being able to win over swing voters, and that's what the party hadn't been doing. We've been turning off wide swaths of voters.
But I guess what I was getting to, should you and other hopefuls talk about whether you should coalesce around a single person before, before the field gets too scattered, which would just usher in perhaps another, Biden-Trump rematch?
Well, it's a great question. Yeah, we do talk. Most of us are friends, and we see each other. I was just on the same stage with Mike Pence and Mike Pompeo. Talked to both of them backstage, and Chris Christie's a good friend of mine. I talked to Asa Hutchinson, and we're all trying to figure out the best path forward. I think there are a lot of us that think that it would be a mistake to nominate Donald Trump as our nominee. But you're right, he still does have a pretty sizable base, almost 30% of the likely primary voters that. As President Trump once said, he could go out and shoot somebody in Fifth Avenue and they would still vote for him. But I think that's continuing to diminish, and we're still 2 years from the election.
Right.
We just finished the 2022 election.
And my son says, you really did vote for Ronald Reagan. What year did they, I mean, like in the last election or the...
In the last election. Well, I voted for him in all of his elections, actually.
Yeah.
So I voted for Ronald Reagan multiple times. But, yeah, exactly. I was trying to make a statement about, I thought the fact that the party needs to get back to Ronald Reagan's bigger tent where we can appeal to more people and have a positive, hopeful message for America.
Right.
Governor, we ask every one of the CEOs who come on what they're seeing in terms of the economy. I don't know if you get your tax receipts as frequently as Doug McMillon gets the sales receipts from Walmart, which I guess is probably hourly. But what can you tell us about what you do see in the tax receipts?
Well, our revenues are way up and our economy's booming. I mean, we took our economy, before I became governor, our economy was 49th out of 50 states, so we took it to number 6. So we had the biggest economic turnaround in America. I took a $5.1 billion deficit and turned it into a $5.7 billion surplus. We cut taxes 8 years in a row by $4.7 billion. So I think our economy's doing better than most places in the country.
No recession on the horizon?
But, I am concerned about a recession on the horizon, which I'm glad we have that big surplus now that we're leaving. But consumers are hurting. Energy prices and the cost of living is really a problem, and the Biden administration is making all the wrong moves to try to address those issues.
Governors are going to be governors. Governor, thank you very much. Governor Hogan, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.